Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar on creating an interactive business analytics dashboard in Blazor with Syncfusion. I'm Sriram Shankaran, Senior Product Manager at Syncfusion, and I'm excited to take you through this session where we'll explore how to create a dynamic and interactive dashboard that provides valuable business insights. Let's get started. Here's what we will cover today: introduction to business analytics dashboards, what they are and why they matter, along with the key elements of an effective dashboard, that is the must-have components. Followed by which we will have the live demo of building the dashboard, and then the key takeaways and the question answer session. And here's the best part. This won't just be theory. I'll be building a dashboard live, and by the end of this session, you will have a fully functional business analytics dashboard. Imagine you're a sales manager. You need to know how your business performed last quarter fast. Without a dashboard, you dig through spreadsheets and emails. But with an analytics dashboard, you get the answer in seconds. Sounds great, right? A business analytics dashboard is a visual representation of key business metrics, helping decision makers track trends, analyze performance, and make informed decisions instantly. Now, coming to the key elements of an effective dashboard. For a dashboard to be truly effective, it needs real-time data updates, relevant KPIs, interactive filtering, and easy to read visuals. The dashboard must focus on what matters, allowing users to drill down into the data, and also must use charts, grids, and KPIs instead of text-heavy reports. Now let's move to the most exciting part, the live demo. In the demo, we will build a business analytics dashboard step by step using Syncfusion Blazor components, where the steps are setting up Syncfusion Blazor, followed by adding dashboard layout, chart, grid, and cards. Finally, we will be enhancing the dashboard layout, that is the business analytics dashboard, with filters. Here's a sneak peek at what the final dashboard will look like. Our dashboard will include KPIs rendered in cards with image and the content, a bar chart displaying total orders by country, a multicolored line chart showing revenue fluctuations, and a grid showing the best performing products. It would have support for filtering and sorting too. Finally, we will be adding dynamic filtering for better insights using Syncfusion's date range picker. To follow along, you will need a basic understanding of Blazor and Visual Studio with .NET installed. For the purpose of this demo, I'll be using .NET 8. No worries if you don't have this set up right now, you can always try building this after the webinar. Now let's open the IDE for the demo. The project that you see on screen is a new project created by me of type Blazor Web App, and it has no authentication type. .NET 8.0 is the framework used. With respect to the interactive render mode and interactivity location, it uses Blazor server rendering, and interactivity is enabled only on specific components, that is per page component. With respect to the changes already done to the project code, I have removed not needed layouts and pages, modified styles to get the layout as desired, which you will see, and I've added a few images to meet our requirement. First, we will install required Syncfusion Blazor components and themes NuGet in the Blazor Web App. So I'll navigate to manage NuGet packages. We will install the Syncfusion packages one by one. First on the list is Syncfusion Blazor layouts. I will install the most recent and stable one. It's been installed successfully. The next one is themes. Completed. Themes is followed by charts and grid. First charts, and then grid. So these packages are installed since these are the components that we are planning to render as part of the business analytics dashboard. And finally, in our list comes the cards. So we'll install that too. And it's installed successfully. Syncfusion Blazor calendars, which is going to be used for the filtering part of this particular demo, gets installed as part of the Syncfusion Blazor grid package. The next step is registering Syncfusion Blazor service. We need to import the Syncfusion Blazor layouts, charts, grids, cards, and calendars namespace in the imports razor file. We will do that. First, I'll navigate to the imports razor file. This is for Syncfusion Blazor. Next is layouts. Correct, that is charts. Grids, cards, and calendars to be followed. We have done that. Next, we need to register the Syncfusion Blazor service in the program CS file of the Blazor web app. I'll just navigate to program CS. That's it, done. So the next step is adding style sheets and script resources. So what we need to do is we need to include the style sheet reference in the head section and the script reference at the end of the body in the app razor file. So to get these links, we will make use of Syncfusion Blazor documentation. I'll just navigate to the specific page. So this is Syncfusion Blazor documentation. So the first control that we will be rendering is dashboard layout. So I'll just go to that page. I'll navigate to the section add style sheet and script. So just copy this. I'll navigate to the app razor file. This is with respect to the style sheet. With respect to the script, so we have like done this. So the next step would be to register Syncfusion license key in the program.cs file. So this step is very important because we will get the message that this application was built using a trial version of Syncfusion Essential Studio if we try to run the application. So I'll do that next. So navigate to program.cs. Now let's register it. With respect to the license key, I have like already generated mine. So please do generate one for yourself and use it over here. So that completes the installation of the Syncfusion packages and registering it. Now let's go to the actual page, which is home.razor. Before proceeding to actually rendering the Syncfusion components to be used in the business analytics dashboard, I'll just explain you about the various variables and the classes along with the data sources that have been like used in this particular file. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm using an inline collection as the data source. So this helps us quickly visualize the dashboard without needing a full backend setup. But however, in a real world scenario, you can easily replace this with an actual database collection, whether it's SQL Server, MySQL, or any other data source. You can also integrate APIs or perform business logic before displaying the data. The variables total revenue, total orders, active customers, and customer retention rate are going to be used for the KPI cards, whereas the classes sales data, order data, and product data are going to be used for the line and bar charts along with the grid. So the product data is for top selling products grid, order data is for country-wise order distribution bar chart, and the sales data is for the sales revenue trends line chart. So this particular class has date revenue so that the revenue can be displayed at a specific point of time, and color is going to be used for the multicolored line. Coming to the order data, we have country and the orders count, which is pretty straightforward. With respect to the product data, we have the product ID, name, its category, unit price, the number of units sold, along with the total sales. In addition, we have an event on initialized where the data source for a chart, a grid, and the KPIs are set at its initial state. Along with that, we have another method coded, which is an exact replica of the onInitialize method, but just that it has a different data source since it's going to be like used for filtering based on the date range picker. So that's with respect to the default code that's already available in the home Razor page. So I'll just run this particular source to check the layout. As you can see over here, this is the base layout that you're going to work with. It has a header and a title, Business Analytics Dashboard. Now let's jump into the live coding. First, we need to define a render mode at the top of the component if interactivity location is set as per page component in the web app. We will do that first. Now let's start with rendering the components. First one is dashboard layout. We will make use of Syncfusion's Blazor documentation to get the base structure of a dashboard layout. I'll just navigate to this particular section and copy this piece of code. Basically, dashboard layout is a grid structured component which can be split into cells. So I'll just set the column for the dashboard layout, which specifies the total number of cells in each row. For our requirement, I'm going to set the columns as 8. Once the columns has been set, I'll render the header and the content template. The header template is used to render the header for a panel, whereas the content template is used to render data or any HTML template as the content. First, the header template, followed by the content template. Once the header and the content templates are rendered, we will define the panels and configure the size and position. So first, I'll just set the ID as panel 1, followed by the column and row for the dashboard layout panel. So the column and row specifies the column and row values in which the panel needs to be placed. So the column must be 0 for the first panel, row 2 must be 0, followed by which we will set the size X and size Y properties of the dashboard layout panel. So these properties specifies the width and height of the panel in cells count. So with respect to size X and size Y, we will set size X to be 2 and size Y to be 1. We will just check the output in a few moments. I'll just run the source. As you can see over here, a panel in the dashboard layout has been rendered. We will just replicate this for the other 6 panels as per our requirement. So I'll just proceed to copy and paste this and customize each one by one. So basically, we have 7 panels. Panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, panel 5, 6 and 7. To achieve the layout that we saw in the demo as per the slides, we need to configure the column row size X and size Y accordingly. So for panel 2, the column would be 2 and row 0. Size X and size Y would be the same. For panel 3, the column would be 4. The other properties would remain the same. For panel 4, the column would be 6, since we have an 8 column structure. Coming to the chart panels, which comes under panel 5 and panel 6, we have the column as 0 and 4, row as 1, size X would be 4, since there are just 2 panels in this particular row, and size Y would be 3. Coming to the panel in which the grid is to be rendered, we have the column as 0, row 4, size X 8 and size Y 3. So just save it and we will have a hot reload to just check how the panels are rendered. So as you can see over here, we have achieved the basic layout of the dashboard layout as per our requirement. Now we'll proceed to set cell spacing and allow resizing properties for the dashboard layout. For this, you just need to add allow resizing property to true and cell spacing also needs to be like set. So I'll set it as 10, 10. Now if you reload it again, you can see the cell spacing to be increased. Let's change the header for all the panels now. The first panel could be named as total revenue. The second one, total orders, followed by active customers. Customer retention rate. With respect to the sales revenue chart, we'll be displaying the trends. Then we have the country-wise order distribution. Finally, we have our top selling products. Next, I'll just set the style for a div inside the content template of all the content templates. We'll just add some style to the panel header so that a background color is set and the content is left aligned. Let's hot reload it. As you can see, a background color has been like set for the panel headers and the content is left aligned with respect to all the panels. Now let's move to rendering the components inside the respective panels, starting with the card. So I'll just add the base structure of a card. We require a card content alone and not a card header as per our requirement. Yes, I'll add a div. As per our requirement, the content that we display inside the KPI cards are images and a value with respect to the specific KPI card. So I'll render an image. We will use the revenue PNG for the revenue card. We'll set an alt text. Followed by which comes the actual value. As discussed earlier, the values for these variables have already been set in the onInitialized event. Now let's replicate this for all the other three cards. So this would be order. Coming to active customers. Finally, customer retention rate. We'll just check once where the correct values have been assigned. Now I'll just add a set of predefined styles to position the images and the content in the respective cards properly. So now let's hot reload to check whether the changes have been reflected correctly. As you can see over here, the image and the content has been properly rendered in the respective cards. Now let's move to the chart panels. We will start with the line chart under sales revenue trends, and we'll add the Syncfusion Blazor line chart component from the Syncfusion Blazor documentation itself. So I'll just move on to the chart section and navigate to the line chart type. Since we are going to render a multicolored line, we will just make use of this particular sample. I'll copy this and paste it over here. We will change the value type to datetime, since it displays datetime values as the access labels, followed by which we'll modify the data source. Which is the sales data source. With respect to the other properties, it will be date and revenue for X name and Y name. We will just rerun the source to check whether the chart has been rendered properly. Yes, it's rendered properly. We'll move back to the source code and set chart marker and chart data label to true. The visible property can be set to true for both the chart marker and the chart data label. We'll set a position for this too, such that the chart data label is displayed on top. Now let's reload again to check whether it's reflected in the chart. As you can see over here, the chart marker is visible and the data labels are visible too. Coming back to the source code, now let's concentrate on the country-wise order distribution bar chart. For this, we again go to the Syncfusion Blazor documentation and select the type as bar. So you'll just navigate to a specific bar chart. You just get this. So the value type is category. That is, it displays string values as labels. I'll change the data source. The data source is order data source. X name would be country and Y name would be order count. Just recheck it. Yes, it's order count. Additionally, I'll just add title to be displayed as country in the axis. I'll also enable trim property to true so that values exceeding a specific space get trimmed. And I will add chart axis major grid lines width to 0. Finally, we can add a fill so that the bar comes in the theme color itself. I'll just set the fill property. Now let's reload. There you go. You got both the charts, the multicolor line chart and the bar chart with the theme fill we set. Now coming to the last panel, which is the grid. Again, we go back to Syncfusion's documentation to get the basic structure of a grid. So we'll go to the data grid section. Just navigate below to get to a proper sample. We'll copy this. Paste it in the source. First, we will change the data source. So the data source is product data source, followed by which we can set the allow filtering and allow sorting properties to be true. Since we have filtering enabled, we will set the grid filter settings. Such that the type is Excel. Followed by which we will just modify the columns. The class that we use is product data and it has 6 properties. So we need 6 columns. So just copy these two. First one would be product ID. So I'll just copy paste this. Product name, product category, unit price, units sold, finally total sales. We'll change the header text to product ID, product name, product category, unit price and units sold, and total sales. Coming to the text align properties, we will just set the text align to be center for most of the fields, the text fields, and right align for the numeric fields alone. So this would be center. Just add it. So text align has been set. Next, we will add formatting. So formatting is required only for 2 fields. One is the unit price and the other one is total sales. That is currency with 2 decimal places needs to be like formatted for these fields. So unit price format C2 is already available, and total sales also it's available. Next, we will set the width. With respect to the width, the product name and the total sales fields requires a much bigger width when compared to the others. So 150 can be set for both these fields, whereas others can go with 120. This formatting is not needed. Now we will proceed with adding filtering just for product category and sorting for units sold and total sales. For that, we will just configure it over here in the respective columns. So just set it to false initially. Product category, we have filtering to be set to true, and sorting must be true in total sales and units sold. Now let's reload the application to see whether the grid has rendered properly. And yes, it has. We have the respective columns with filtering available for product category, and sorting available for units sold and total sales. So that completes rendering of the dashboard layout and the respective components inside the panels of dashboard layout. We have come to the final session of this particular demo, where we are going to enhance the dashboard layout or the business analytics dashboard with filters. For this, we are going to add a date range picker, where the from and to dates would filter the data source to render the respective data based on the filters. For this, we need the date range picker component base structure. Again, we go to Syncfusion Blazor documentation, go to date range picker. So navigate to this particular section. Just copy this. We'll just add a div above the dashboard layout. And add the date range picker inside. With respect to the min and max dates, we can use the documentation again. So I'll set the min and max dates to 2024 Jan 1 to 2024 December 31. Next, we need to bind data to it, where we can set the start and end dates. So we'll just set the start and end dates to be the same dates as the min and max dates and assign them to the respective properties. Next, we will add the value change event to the date range picker. For this, we navigate to the event section of the documentation and go to the value change section again. So just copy this section for it. And I use it over here. So on value change, this particular event would be like call. We can encode it now. We will set the start date and the end date to the change dates. We'll call the set panel component data source method over here, passing the start date and the end date. Next, we will add the filter for the sales revenue trends alone, because in on-initialized event, we have data sources, that is separate data sources for the KPIs, the order data source, and the product data source. Again, we have the same over here for filtered data sets. But for the sales revenue trends, we need to filter it over here based on the start and end dates using link here. So filtered sales data source, we get it from sales data source. So now the sales data source would be filtered based on the start and the end dates to return the filtered sales data source on filtering based on the date range picker. As a final touch, we add some styles to move the date range picker to the right hand corner of the page. So let's cross check the code once before running the demo. Well, yes, we need to set the start date and end date of the method's parameter. Also, we need to set the filtered sales data source in the onInitialize event too, so that this filtering happens when the page loads the first time also. Here we can set start date and end date. This particular filter data source needs to be set as the data source for the line chart instead of sales data source. We are good to run the source. I'll just restart the application. Now we have a date range filter where you can change months, and the minimum and the maximum dates would be set to the 1st of January 24 and 31st December 24. The data that you see on screen is the data that we have set in the onInitialized event for all panels except for the line chart, where the sales data source is filtered based on the date set in the date range filter. Now let's proceed to filter it. I'll set the start date as July 1st and the end date as December 24, 31st. You can see the data has been filtered. For all other panels except the sales revenue trends, we have the data from the method which is called in the value change handler. Whereas with respect to the sales revenue trends, we have 6 months data over here from July to December. With respect to the dashboard layout, we can drag and drop panels to the desired location, and we can resize panels too as per the configuration set in the source code. Simple, isn't it? So reiterate again, right now our data is coming from a simple inline collection, but in a production environment, you can fetch this data dynamically from a database, API, or even real-time streaming sources. Syncfusion's Blazor components make it easy to bind data from various sources, so you can customize this dashboard to fit your actual business needs. And there you have it. Our business analytics dashboard is now fully functional. We can track sales revenue, analyze orders by country, and identify our top selling products, all in real time. Just to recap, here's what we implemented during the demo. We have KPIs implemented in Syncfusion Cards within a dashboard layout. A dynamic line chart that updates based on the selected rate range is available with respect to sales revenue trends. For orders by countries, we have a bar chart giving us insights into country-based sales. And finally, top selling products has a sortable and filterable grid to analyze product performance. The filter added with the help of Syncfusion's date range picker enhances this particular dashboard to be interactive. Now that we have built the dashboard, let's quickly go over the key takeaways from today's session. We covered a lot today. Here are the key takeaways. Dashboards simplify decision making by visualizing key business data. An effective dashboard must have relevant KPIs, easy filtering, and clear visuals. Syncfusion Blazor components, as we saw, make it easy to build professional dashboards quickly. So that brings us to the end of today's session. We have covered the fundamentals of business analytics dashboards, explored the key elements, and built a simple yet effective interactive dashboard using Syncfusion Blazor components. I hope this session gave you valuable insights and a hands-on approach to building your own dashboards. With that, I would like to hand it back to Carter for any final remarks and the question answer session. Over to you, Carter.